before getting started, let's talk about upcoming public shows. None. None again. But if you want to follow me, check me out on Instagram at Connor_Kfiachain. Same, I believe, on Facebook. And like and subscribe to this podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe there. Other than that, hello and welcome to What's Up With Me. I'm in a new space. If you didn't notice that, wow, that's on you. Yeah, new place, new state. This is the fourth state I've lived in this calendar year. I'm in Tampa, Florida. I made that brief announcement at the end of the last episode that I was looking like I was going to move. Ended up signing the lease. 21-hour drive over 2 days. Got here, spent Thanksgiving by my lonesome, but got to talk to my family, got to talk to my grandmother, so it was a good day still. But yeah, I've moved to Tampa, and it's I put a post up on Instagram, had at least one friend just say why, and it's really quite simple. I really believe in the business of curbside comedy, but the business itself only works if I can do outdoor shows. And you can't. In the Northeast, it's like we already had a snowstorm, already lost power. So I'm down here and I'm making connections. That's what a lot of the show is going to be about. You know, what's the next step now that I'm here? So yeah, stay tuned. I'm realizing the camera's a little bit crooked. Noticing the back line of the roof, but let's power on anyway. So yeah, going to be talking a lot about the move, what it's actually been like not performing for over a month now, which it's the longest time that I haven't performed since the beginning of COVID. And then, yeah, talking about what I'm writing about. So, yeah, COVID. I've made, thankfully, a full recovery. I didn't share too much about getting COVID on social media. I told friends, I told family, people that are really close to me, because I thought it was important for them to know. But I didn't share about getting COVID on social media to a wider audience, just because I didn't want things to be misconstrued. Obviously, posting the most about curbside comedy shows, these private public events. I didn't want people to think that I got COVID by doing anything risky. And I covered this in the last video, but I also didn't want people to think it had anything to do with curbside comedy, because as far as I know, unless someone hasn't told me anything, everyone who's come to a curbside comedy show has been safe. They're healthy. Trevor and I never got sick. And even when I did get sick, there was no shows before. No shows in the 2-3 week period before I got sick, about a 2 week period that I got sick. So there was no need to contact trace. And I just didn't want the misassociation out there to be like, well, he's out in public, doing these shows. He must have got from there. Not at all. I think it's potential. The roommate who initially got it, believe he got it from a barber. And so from that chance situation, the thing that normal people do every once in a while, I stayed in the house too much and ended up getting it from a roommate. And so thankfully it was really mild. I'm now past the 10-day CDC guideline. I believe it's day 19 now. So I'm set to go out in public. Obviously, got to be smart, got to be safe. There are cases where people get it again. So everyone needs to do their part. And that's the plan that I'm going to continue to do. But I just want to make sure that's super clear that I got it. Nothing to do with curbside comedy. And the truth is, anyone can get it for any reason. So even if you've got it before, be safe. Think about other people. Yeah, okay. That's out of the way. Talk about the move. Tampa. Why Tampa? Tampa is a great city in Florida. I was thinking about North Carolina for a long period. I was told that's a no-go. That's a no-go for November to January, February for weather. It's going to be really hard to get people to sit outside for that long. So I had to think further south. I didn't look into Georgia too much. I just don't know anyone there. But I do know some people in Tampa and the Orlando, Tampa area. And so I figured that's a good base to be at. And I did more research, really close to St. Pete, really close to Clearwater, two vibrant communities where there's a demographic that may be interested in having backyard shows. Obviously, you need a demographic that has a backyard. So cities don't work as great, but here in Tampa, there's a dense urban center, and then outside there are these vibrant communities, which you need density for a volume of shows, and you need um, some separation for people to be in order for people to have a backyard. So, looking at all the factors that came to Tampa, I decided on Tampa. Found a short-term lease to stay flexible, just in case things get really better or things don't work out. Gotta be smart. And the whole plan since the beginning of starting Curbside Comedy and performing in a new way is be flexible. Yeah, that's the plan. What's happened though? Since getting here, I've connected with a bunch of charities. Not all of them have I heard back from, but I have connected with some charities. One that I have made a successful connection with that wants to help spread the word about Curbside Comedy is Feeding Tampa Bay. They're an organization that is helping to solve the problem of food insecurity in this community. They have a giant warehouse where they get food in and out every single day, and they're really doing a lot of good. Obviously, Thanksgiving was a big holiday for them, and so what we've been able to do with them is they're going to put us on their website, on their Shop to Give page. And basically on this page is a bunch of other organizations that you can shop through, and a percent of what you spend, or different scenarios. Not all of them are all the same, but a percent, usually some transaction happens that ends up giving money to the organization Feeding Tampa Bay. And so we are going to be on that page. You can go to their page, click learn more, head to our booking page. Then you're off. Then you're fine. Book a show. Other organizations that I've connected with that I haven't got a firm okay yet, but definitely some positive. They're moving in a positive direction. I'll talk about more in future times, but I'm really looking to build the connections. When I moved to Rhode Island, I think I went about it in the wrong way. I started reaching out to businesses and like, hey, can you put on a show? Would you be willing to, let me put on a show here? My thought was connect with people, connect with organizations, bring people together to this space, and then from there be able to do backyard shows, because backyard shows are really the bread and butter of Curbside Comedy, and I think will play an important role in the future of comedy, especially helping young up and coming comedians. So that was the strategy, was big to small. But now what I'm hoping to do, I guess it's still big to small, but to connect with organizations to try and get the initial small shows. Again, backyard shows are the bread and butter. I don't eat bread or butter that often, so they are the showers I take. I don't know. They're what's most important to sustain, because stage time is gold. As for an up and coming comedian, so you want volume rather than quality at this point. And when I say quality, backyard shows are quality. I love backyard shows, but I'm talking quality in terms of a big event. What you might think of more traditionally as a quality show, 60 or so people in a public space selling tickets. That's not the goal. So I'm connecting with charities, to try and see, to just try and build relationships, because these are the organizations that we're going to be giving money to, and I want them to know where we're coming from, and why we're doing what we're doing, and why they should be able to trust us and feel good about us. The other thing, connecting with businesses, housing authorities, all these different avenues that hopefully gets the volume that this business needs. Get a lot of shows for myself. and other comedians, and go from there. But Tampa just provides the possibility of doing that for this season. And so that's why I ended up coming down here. Um, I kind of I didn't realize how quiet I kept the fact that I was moving. For me, I've known that a move is likely since probably April, May, June for sure. Because I knew when I signed a short lease in Rhode Island, it was just a thing that I knew was going to happen. So I just feel like because I thought about it for so long, everyone knew. But then I also realized in COVID, being in my room by myself for such a long period of time, that my world really didn't change all that much, which is probably a good a good reason to look back and go, hey, you should tell people things. Your world has shrunk rapidly since COVID started. And if you're not connecting on social media, you're really not letting people know. Because I'm not a big texter usually. I call people. I think that's great. I think it's such a good time to call people. So I've been in Tampa for less than a week now. Things are going well personally, exercising regularly, enjoying the nice weather, making some connections with friends. Yeah. But what's it like? What's it been like not performing for over a month now? A month in 4 days. It's weird, but it's way more calm than before. Before when COVID started, I was devastated. I like stopped really focusing on stand up altogether, tried to figure out multimedia ways to create content. Um, but I was longing for the stage. I was longing to get back on there. And I think that longing comes from a sense of anxiety that I had. Anxiety is based on a fear of the future. Depression is focusing on the past. That's a very simplified version. Obviously, it's a lot more complex, but putting in simple terms, if I'm thinking about my anxiety for it, it's because I didn't know when I was going to perform again. No clue. I mean, no one had any clue of what was really going on. We still really don't. But now even that I've taken a month off from performing, I know shows are going to come back around, and I know it's in my hands. Obviously, you're never in 100% control, but the fact is, if I hustle and I grind, I can get these shows booked and I can get back to what I want to do. So I know it's coming. So the motivation to stay prepared is still there. And so, I don't know. Is there supposed to be a larger takeaway for these podcasts? I've no clue. This podcast is really an educational branch of Curbside Comedy, so people keep on remembering it and can learn more and more about it. So bookings become easier, because the toughest part about Curbside Comedy right now is the fact that people don't understand the concept. But all of that aside, takeaways of like, if you can put things back into your control and trust that the future is going to provide what you want, it becomes a little bit easier, and it's become easier for me to focus back on writing. I've fallen into a good habit the first couple days, and it's not really a habit because I've only been here a little bit. I need to prove it out, that I can stick to it. But I've been writing a lot more, and in my writing recently, I've really focused on me, like who I am. I realized I don't know if I look like a wet blanket. Oh, but I sure am. I sure am. Um, I'm basically a dad without children. Like, that's very clear to me, and I'm okay with that. I just the I don't know. I've always lived a risk adverse life. That's where I feel comfortable, and I also realize that that creates a certain personality that I don't know is featured too much in stand up. Obviously, there's so many stand ups out there. But you think of like stand ups as in terms of like rock and roll. These big figures, going out, having a good time, sex filled lives, all that stuff. Um, or you think of, you got Jim Gaffigan, who's an every man's comedian and every person's comedian. But he's kind of in a league of his own. I guess you might think of, well, these aren't great examples. I'm trying to think of people. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's just a perception I have. I was thinking of people that came through that had scandals, that you think of having wilder lives, but that's kind of been proven to be true. in some ways. But I don't think there are too many people who are just like, yeah, didn't do too much with my life. Stayed in college, did my work, um, tried to get ahead, and then I realized, like, what's the point? So trying to embrace that. And now that I know who I am a little bit better, um, I do feel freer. I'm able to talk about myself in more real ways. And if you've seen my stand up, which I don't know how many people who watch this or listen to this have, I like wordplay. I like puns. Um, I have one in my show that I say is my favorite joke, and I build up this huge story around it that I think is well crafted, and then the big punchline at the end is this god awful pun, terrible pun, um, and I don't think I ever realized why it was so funny to me because I wasn't being truthful about like how I am as a person. Like I'm a um pretty not wet blanket, just like I find like dad stuff is like I like to imagine it's have fun but not too much fun, like that type of vibe. um and so I have this great pun at the end that half the crowd groans at, and I realize I'm like, I just love the groan. Like I love it. Stand up and comedy are about directing people's emotions and their feelings. And I've crafted this joke in such a way where I can literally, instead of making them laugh, I can make them all groan at something dumb. And for me, oh my goodness, that is the greatest sense of joy because I've accomplished the goal of directing people's intentions and I just let them fall flat. And I'm able to now, learning more about myself, claim these jokes, point out why I think it's funny. You don't want to explain too much in comedy. That's a bad sign. But if you can illuminate more and basically make fun of yourself and be like, you know what, I'm still in control here. I knew that it wasn't gonna work, and that's exactly why I did it. Or not work. The goal is still to get the reaction I got. Um, but if I'm in control of the reaction, I get the reaction that I'm desiring, I can point that out, get you back a little bit, and have you laugh at me because the fact is, I ended this thing with a pun. A pun. So, I'm learning a lot about myself, being able to write more, being able to reclaim and restructure jokes. It's going to be really interesting to get back on stage. Just because there's always rust that you need to kick off, so I feel a little bit bad for the first audience. There are open mics in Tampa, and I'm planning on going to them, but also I want to probably scout them out too, because I want to still continue to be safe. And Florida is more relaxed than where I lived before, so we're gonna need to figure that out a little bit. But hopefully I'll be ready to go for first show. And the fact is now too, I guess this is something I should have said up top. If you're looking to book a show, Curbside Comedy Show in Tampa, connect with me. If you know people in Tampa, connect with me. That's so helpful. I appreciate people who've listened this long and will actually reach out with people they know in Tampa. But I worked really hard to develop a set that's over half an hour. Not because I wanted to work alone in any means. I just am of the mind where I want to be prepared for any situation where if I have to go alone, I can. And so a lot of the second half of the summer and fall into the fall was trying to build out to get to that 30-minute mark. And I've been able to do so. So I can put on a full Curbside Comedy Show by myself, 45 minutes from beginning with the intro set and then a short Q&A after. I can do a full 45 minutes. So I'm ready to do shows by myself, but I really enjoy working with people. Hopefully Trevor and I can reconnect in Tampa sometime soon. There's other comedians here that I want to reach out to as well. But I'm ready to go. I got equipment. I'm stoked. I'm just excited because I even though I haven't performed in a month, I know each passing day I'm getting closer to the next time I can perform. And that's great. So that is what's up with me. Full recovery, moved to Tampa, doing some fun writing, there's less anxiety around the fact that I haven't performed than before. Yeah, mental health is good. Mental health is good. Please listen to Ed Krasnick and Jen Kalari's mental health comedy podcast. I've been loving that. And yeah, follow me on Instagram. Check in with yourself. Ask yourself what's up with you. And thank you. Thanks for listening. Hope to make you all laugh sometime soon. Bye.